Collei and the other sumeru characters just got released recently, as well as Collei making an appearance in the Fatui Harbinger trailer. And boy, oh boy, do I have some thoughts. To start off, let's discuss what has been released about Collei, not including the manga. I'm opting to exclude the manga Collei because at this point this is simply background knowledge for her character and can be summed up in less than a minute. Let's talk about HoYoverse releasing about Collei publicly. From her introduction on HoYo Lab, Collei is an Avidya Forest Ranger trainee who currently resides in Gandharva Vale in Sumeru. Avidya is a Sanskrit word typically used in Hindu texts and in other Indian religions like Buddhism and Jainism in relevance to metaphysics. Its main literal translation is ignorance, but a more accurate translation of the word is, quote, unwisdom or folly, in addition to incorrect knowledge, as these go more in depth with its fundamental concept. The word matches the theme of Sumeru as it is a land known to be generally obsessed with wisdom, to where ignorance is widespread, as well as there being pushes for folly. This is similar to what Danslef said in the Tevat chapter storyline trailer about Sumeru.
The god of wisdom's enemy is wisdom itself, and the oasis of knowledge is a mirage in the desert of ignorance. In the city of scholars, there is a push for folly, yet the god of wisdom makes no argument against it.
Now Collei has the constellation Leptelerus Servarius, which from what I've tried to look up, doesn't have a directly translated phrase per se. Rather, Leptelerus, which is the scientific name of a serval cat, comes from the Greek words leptos, meaning fine or delicate, and eiloros, meaning cat or wild cat. Servarius from Latin translates to serving, which is an adjective used to describe something relating to deer or to refer to something as being deer-like. It's a very naturesque constellation name and honestly matches Collei quite well, as she is a shy yet optimistic and helpful person. They also give a brief description of what occurs in her daily life. With her duty as a ranger trainee, she guides those who are lost in the forest back to safety and has earned the respect and gratitude of those around her despite her shyness. She also happens to sew dolls, which the children in her place find entertaining and I personally find really cute. However, unfortunately, it is mentioned that she still has some flashbacks regarding her past after being experimented on by Dottore. The last sentences read, quote, even though everything is going well, he still hopes that she can work harder and improve faster in the future. Only in this way can she overcome her past weak self as quickly as possible. Obviously, this is foreshadowing to an event that may occur in the future, because if we look back in the manga, Sino specifies that the seal on Collei only weakens the god's power and doesn't completely remove it. Thus, one day its power could technically resurge again and potentially consume Collei's consciousness completely. That's why to Collei, gaining her own power may at the very least help her be able to maintain the Archon residue, and who knows, maybe there'll be a world where she actually may have the ability to control the power at will. That would be crazy if that happened. I wish it happened. If it did happen, that would be amazing. That would be lovely even. However, unfortunately, that's not going to be the main thing we're talking about here. The main thing is actually going to be about Collei's vision. Now, at the end of the Fatui trailer, we see Collei have a vision ahead of time where a sumeru tree burns as the Dottore stands in front of it. Now, whether or not Dottore is actually part of the dream or was simply just there for narration purposes doesn't matter too much, since it's likely he'll have a part in it regardless. This tree is similar to the Bodhi tree, which is recognized as the Tree of Awakening, since supposedly this was the same tree where Buddha attained enlightenment around 500 BCE. The sumeru tree likely has equal significance, as Dottore mentions his segment in the prime of his life in Sumeru is planning to commit blasphemy, which by definition would be an act done to offend the divine. By doing so, this is probably the Fatui's way of luring out Kusanali in order to advance their objective to retrieve her gnosis.
So, where's the segment in the prime of his life then?
He's busy with a little experiment in blasphemy.
Collei, time to head out on patrol.
Okay, Master Tainari! What was that?
Now, while it appears to be simply a vision or a dream, I'm personally under the impression that this may actually be fated to happen. Now, if we remember from the Summer Fantasia event, while we're in Mona's Mirage, she talks about the reality behind people's fates, and that sometimes people's stars stray off to their original path, or from their original path, theoretically making everything take a turn for the worst.
As your stars move across the sky, they record all your life events in their path. And among all the people in the world, a considerable number will see their stars deviate from their path. When your stars are on track, it means you will be healthy, happy, and at peace. Conversely, if your stars go off track, everything will get worse.
Now, of course, this is more based on individual fates, but we can, in a way, apply this concept to the situation at hand. It could just be a vision Collei coincidentally had because of her association with the Dore, but the fact that this was an important trailer and was heavily emphasized makes it feel like there's more to it than what is being offered to us at surface level. There is definitely a possibility that some event went off track, creating some sort of butterfly effect that changed how the future plays out. Now, which event, of course, we cannot really say 100%, although the best guesses, in my opinion, would either be Scaramouche retrieving the Electrognosis, or even dating as far back as to the manga when Collei got sent to Barnabas by her parents to save her because of her illness. Adding on to this, dreams about burning trees or trees burning can be interpreted differently. For example, metaphorically, this could mean potential danger or a growth transformation is approaching, since flames symbolize passion, rebirth, transformation, and destruction, while trees symbolize growth, people, and nature. It could also include a reflection of one's inner feelings, representing an event that scarred or hurt one in the past. Now, Collei being hurt by Barnabas and Dottore makes this interpretation somewhat valid, but the focus isn't really solely on Dottore per se, as well as the fact that there's literally a sacred tree being burned right in front of our eyes. So, yeah. And lastly, I'm personally worried about Collei keeping this vision to herself. By not telling us what she dreamed of, it kind of leaves a huge information gap for the Traveler, since overall, the Traveler knows very little about Sumeru when we think about it. From our personal perspective, we have a good idea that Kusanali is physically isolated somewhere unknown, and she mentions towards the end of the Summer Fantasia event in the quest, like Ryman's song The Summer Reverie, while talking to us that she can't travel but manages to watch over us anyways at the Archipelago Islands.
I'm not able to travel myself, but I do admire free spirits like yourself. So, I helped them design a little something for you all. I hope you liked it. As I said, I don't have an agenda. I'm just a little bird. I stopped here to admire your lives, joys, sorrows, and all. There's no need to wonder about my name. Maybe one day in the future, we will meet in another place. When that time comes, I think you'll be able to recognize me.
Now, I don't know if she means she literally can't travel physically herself, or if she just wasn't able to travel to the island specifically, but I'm personally going to assume the prior statement, since the way she said, "I'm not able to travel myself," specifically by quote, sounds like she is literally not able to travel at all, but rather uses her own consciousness through other objects and other things, and then ends up talking to people in that manner. Now, if the Fatui are aware of such isolation, not knowing about this dream kind of prevents Traveler from being able to connect the dots quicker in an attempt to prevent whatever plan is happening. Now, unfortunately, the Traveler at this stage doesn't even really know who talked to her during the cutscene, so connecting the dots wouldn't even be possible unless they were given info about the Dendra Archon from somebody else, which probably will happen in 3.0, but honestly, even then, I don't even know. Now, something else to add about kusanali is that the etymology may be a reference to the Jataka tales, which coincidentally parallels with Kollei's dream. Now, the Jataka tales is a series of tales about the Buddha's past lives. The main thing about the tale regarding kusanali is that the tree fairy residing in the wishing tree had its home threatened by the king's carpenters and the king. Buddha in this life prevented this from happening by becoming a chameleon and made the tree look like it had holes everywhere, thus making it unusable for construction and eventually saving the tree fairy's home and people. In Genshin, we see the tree potentially being targeted by the Fatui, and maybe we'll be there to act as sort of like a chameleon, where we try and recover the last pieces of it, or even try to prevent the tree from being disintegrated entirely. There's honestly not too much information on what exactly this tree's significance is specifically to Sumeru, so making this as far as we can speculate, to be honest. All in all, Kollei's vision is very creepy, and I would not be surprised if she chose to not tell us out of feeling for both her own safety and concern, and perhaps maybe even the travelers. Only time will really tell if such a dream becomes reality. Alright, and that was the end of this theory video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to like and subscribe. For the next video, I will actually be talking about Kusanali herself. I feel like there's a lot going on in sumeru that is very fishy, very weird, very scandalous. There's a lot of drama, a lot of tea, there's a lot of shady stuff going on, especially with the academia. There's a lot about the academia I want to talk about, and I may even make a separate video for them, or maybe I just might put Kusanali and academia in pretty much everything we know about sumeru so far up until this point in like one video. Who knows, but next video will be sumeru related, so stay tuned for that. And until the next video, bye bye.